Good morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are. I'm Paul Clark. Welcome to my studio. So what have we got for you lovely lot today? Well, continuing on from the wildlife theme, we're going to be having a go at painting this lovely little tawny owl, but with an autumny feel. Now, I have done a couple of owls before. Some of you may recognise this one from my watercolour book, and this one from a tutorial all about watercolour pencils. So enough of that, come and join me and we'll paint this step by step together. Oh, and do hang about to the end because there's some beautiful paintings from our Facebook group of owls. Today's materials, my paper is some Winsor Newton Professional. It's a cold press finish, 100% cotton, it's £140. It's on a block so it won't need stretching, but of course any decent watercolour paper will do. My colours today are cadmium yellow, yellow ochre, cobalt blue, alizarin crimson, burnt sienna, burnt umber and a Payne's grey, some white gouache and just two brushes from my range, a number 12 and number 6 round. Right, so here's the lovely reference photo which I got from Pixabay. I did a quick pencil sketch in my sketchbook. I wanted to just change the composition slightly. I quite like that jaunty angle with him leaning over slightly and to include a little bit of forest in the background. And here's the pencil sketch, which as always is free to download from my website. Link in the description below. Off we go, and I'm starting using my number 12 brush and just painting with clean water around the owl and leaving the tree trunks unpainted. Right, so what I want is a real autumny feel going on in the background here, so I'm starting by dropping in some cadmium yellow with a touch of orange, and I want everything here in the background to be wet in wet, out of focus, just to put the emphasis on the owl. Now, I'll list all the colours as I'm using them below, but as I said earlier, I'm going for a real autumny vibe with lots of reds and golds and browns and even touches of green. And because I'm painting this with lots of very wet washes, a lot of the mixing will be done on the paper. And as usual, I'm mixing my greens from cadmium yellow and cobalt blue. Of course, a bit of splatting never goes amiss. And here I'm trying to paint the suggestion of leaves without actually painting them, just simple blobby shapes. Now, still going into the damp, I'm painting in these tree branches, and again I want them to have a nice soft fuzzy edge, help to throw them to the background. To create this nice soft motley effect, I'm just gently tapping in some clean water, and this really needs to go in before the wash is dry. Next, with my number 6 brush, I'm painting a base wash of yellow ochre into all these oak leaves. And while still wet, I'm dropping in all those lovely autumny colours. So now I'm letting all that background totally dry. Now for the tree, and I'm using my number 12 brush and painting in a mix of yellow ochre and burnt umber. And while still wet, dropping in some burnt umber on the shadow side. And when I want to darken it, I just simply add in some cobalt blue. Here I've switched to my number 6 brush to carefully go around the leaves, nice and dark to create some contrast. And to get a really dark brown mix, I use a 50-50 cobalt blue burnt umber. Next, I'm taking the sharpened wooden end of my brush and just scratching in this bark detail. Now, you could simply use a stick, but I like to have it on the end of my brush, basically because I can't lose it. Having said that, I do lose my brush sometimes. Basically, what you're doing here is scoring the paper, slightly damaging it, and the wet paint sinks into the groove and just gives you a darker version of whatever colour you're using. Back to my number 6 brush for a few little details on the light side. And then I'm doing exactly the same process with this bottom branch, but obviously painting around his feet.
Beneath the shadows of this quiet town, I see you there, your feathers on the ground. Your eyes are heavy with the weight of the world. What's in a life you never could offer? Even if you never flown before, you can take a chance and try once more. Don't let your worries weigh you down, down, down. You can still take flight, although you're earthbound. You were made to soar amongst the clouds, but never learn to rise above these crowds. Stuck in the dust of the life that you found, with no
Right, let's make sure everything's totally dry. Then I'm coming in with my number 6 brush to give some really nice deep dark brown shadows to these trunks.
You can take a chance and try once more. Don't let your worries weigh you down, down, down. You can still take flight, although you're earthbound.
Next, I'm taking my spray bottle and just lightly spraying this area here. And the reason for that is I want this branch here just to have a slightly soft fuzzy edge. It's really important that you don't totally saturate the paper.
You never flown before. You can take a chance and try once more.
Well, I missed this leaf earlier, so I'll quickly fill it in.
Let your worries weigh you down, down. You can still take flight,
And here I'm just putting a slightly darker shadow on the right hand side.
though you're earthbound.
So now we need to let this totally dry. So it's a perfect time for a short break, and it's got to be a glass of, yes, believe it or not, a Tawny Owl beer. Now it's time to paint the owl, and I'm starting by pretty much wetting his whole body here with clean water. Then, just to suggest some golden light hitting the left side of his body, I'm painting in a fairly light wash of cadmium yellow and orange. Now I am changing the colours quite significantly from the original photo. It's a little bit monochrome, a little bit black and white, so I'm going to be adding in a lot of interesting colours. And here I'm using a bluey grey for all the shadows on his feathers. Now that original wash of clean water is just beginning to dry, but I'm still getting some nice soft edges. For those of you who may be interested, the Tawny Owl, or the brown owl as it's known, even though mine's not that brown, is found in woodlands all across Europe and Siberia. Now they are known to fly up to 50 miles an hour, but as with most owls, its flight is almost silent because of its soft furry feathers. Now I've done a little bit of research, and I think the species that we're painting here today is probably the grey morph, which is found much further north in Europe.
Don't pretend you know about owls, you twitteroo.
Now to get this really soft feathery effect, I'm just lightly skimming my brush across the top of the surface of the paper. Now for his tail back here, I really don't want it to be too defined, so I'm just blurring it into the background with some clean water. Now for his feet, and other than human hands, I think they're one of the most difficult things to paint. Now with these warm feathers, I'm just using a little touch of burnt sienna, and I'm going to add in quite a bit more than seen in the photo, just to add some more colour to it. So maybe this one could be a bit of a hybrid between the grey and the brown Tawny Owl. To try and get the impression of these feathers, I'm using lots of short dabby strokes, and I'm also using plenty of clean water to soften some of the edges. Now, I have been working all week on my Tawny Owl impression, which I've not quite perfected yet, but I'm getting there. Here we go. Yeah, not bad. Bit of dark shading down here with some Payne's Grey. Now I do get a lot of people, for example, say to me, oh look, your Payne's Grey is a lot warmer or a lot cooler than mine, but to be honest I do pick up a lot of stray colours on my palette which isn't always clean. Just fiddling around here to make these look something like owl's feet. Now you can see from the photo reference that he's only showing one foot. I'm not sure where the other one's gone, so I thought I'd put in the other one. Again, letting it dry, then re-wetting his body. Now what I really want to try and achieve is that softness of those top feathers on his chest. And I'm using my number 6 brush and a combination of burnt umber and Payne's Grey to represent these feathers. So that base wash that I did apply is still damp, and I'm still getting some nice soft edges, some nice feathery effects. Just being really careful here with some very fine brush strokes. Now here with these long thin marks, I'm just trying to do this with as minimal brush strokes as possible. Just a few more darks here to bring out a bit more contrast. Right, now for the tricky bit, his head. So I'm starting by painting in his complete eye with some cadmium yellow, nice and bright. Let that dry, then I'm painting in the pupils and all the surrounding eye details with some nice thick Payne's grey. Next, one of my favourite techniques is softening some of these edges, and I'm just using a damp tissue. It'll just make the owl look a little less cut out and just make him look more like he's part of the complete scene with these lost and found edges, especially down here in the tail. And just slightly blurring some of these feathers here. Now it's time for a bit of mixed media, and I've just mixed in some white gouache with my ordinary cadmium yellow watercolour. I think pure white on these details would look just a little bit unnatural. Now it's time for the white, and this is some Jackman's Titanium White Gouache. Nice and sticky and gooey straight from the tube. And I'm just using it to paint in all these lovely little highlights. Just a little tiny white dot here for the sparkle in his eye. And the light hitting the left-hand side of his body. Painting it on really thick here, you can get a nice dry brush feathery effect. Could be at the stage where I'm just beginning to overwork it, so I think we'll leave it there. And this one in just under 3 hours. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, and you'll give it a go. And as I always say, make it your own. Put your own personality into it, and of course have fun. So, coming up now as promised, some lovely paintings by the Facebook group from a few years ago and just purely selected at random. So I hope you enjoy those. But in the meantime, please don't forget to like, subscribe if you haven't already. Hang on, Hardcore Computer Graphics. Leave a comment. I do read every single one, can't always reply to them all. And of course, I look forward to seeing you all again next week for another Watercolour Wednesday. Have a great week, everyone. Bye for now.
Beneath the shadows of this quiet town, I see you there, your feathers on the ground. Your eyes are heavy with the weight of the world, what's in a life you never could offer. Even if you never flown before, you can take a chance and try once more. Don't let your worries weigh you down, down, down. You can still take flight, although you're earthbound. You were made to soar amongst the clouds, but never learn to rise above these crowds. Stuck in the dust of the life that you found, overflow.